You are listening to CPA Review and more. You are listening to CPA Review and more. You are listening to CPA Review and more. You are listening to CPA Review and more.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you're joining from. And thank you for listening to this episode of CPA Review and More with your host, Phil Yeager. I'm your producer and director here at the Yeager Studios, Rob Medford, and together we are bringing you the #1 podcast for CPAs and CPA candidates. If you're new to the show, I'd like to be the first to thank you for checking us out. We're excited to have you as part of our listenership. If you're here because you've already heard our show and you're a continued listener, we thank you for the ongoing support. It's always greatly appreciated. If you're in the market for a CPA review course or simply want to know more about what Yeager CPA Review has to offer, check out our website at yeagercpareview.com or call our office and we'll answer any questions you might have. The link and telephone number will be in the description of this episode. Here at Team Yeager, we're excited to tell you about our new Yeager CPA Review subscription format. It's the same great Yeager CPA Review course that you know and love on an all-new, month-to-month, no long-term commitment subscription format. But without any further delay, I'm going to pass the microphone on over to your host, Phil Yeager.
Well, thank you, Rob. I really appreciate that. And I want you to know I'll be the second one to thank everyone for listening to our podcast. And today we're going to the windy city of Chicago, Illinois, where our guest lives and runs a practice. And his name is Jeff Badu. And Jeff is a CPA. And I want to welcome you to the podcast, Jeff. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I am fine. Jeff, I was just looking at your bio, and you were born and raised in Ghana, all right? Now, tell everyone where Ghana is.
Yeah, Ghana is in West Africa, so it's on the west side of Africa.
Now, you then moved to uptown Chicago. By the way, Chicago, it's a beautiful city, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a gorgeous city. Absolutely.
What do you like about Chicago?
I like, the fact that Chicago has a lot of opportunities. So I believe my firm wouldn't be as successful if it was in another city that was smaller or, not as of size of Chicago. So I greatly appreciate Chicago for the vast amount of opportunities that it offers.
Now, of course, when I think of Chicago, I think of, I've been there once, but the restaurants, some of the best restaurants in the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you moved, as said, to uptown Chicago when you were 8 years old. So you've been there a long time, right? Long time. By the way, when you came to Chicago at age 8, did you speak English? What languages do you speak now?
Yeah, so English is the primary language in Ghana. So that's one thing I would like to point out. So when I came to Chicago, yes, I did speak English.
And what do they? Ghana is an independent country, or are they? I hate to use the word owned, but are they part of any other country like England? Does anything like that?
Yeah, Ghana is currently independent. Gained independence in 1957.
Okay, and so English is the primary language. So you didn't have to come here and learn English, which helps tremendously. And then what happened? At age 16, you went back to visit Ghana? All right. Why'd you go back to Ghana at age 16?
Yeah, so it was basically a family trip. When I was between 8 and 16, I was surrounded by some negative influences, which caused me to get involved in some things that I wouldn't be too proud of, So, for example, being surrounded by friends who would hang out at certain times of the day when nobody should be out, So just uptown at the time was very rough, to say the least. So I decided, or my family decided, hey, let's go back to Ghana and see, let's just visit it, and just see how things are right now, because I hadn't been since I was 8. So we went on the trip to Ghana. Little did I know that it was a trip that would change my life forever. It made me stop taking things for granted. So it made me see struggle firsthand. And I said, I have all these great opportunities. Why should I mess it up, with these friends that I'm surrounded with? So I basically, when I went to Ghana, I seen the light bulb say, hey, I need to help people when it comes to finances specifically, because I just seen a lot of struggle. And then, I decided to surround myself with more positive-minded people.
Yeah, it's, you can't look back, I guess. You always have to look forward. And the fact that you were able to identify that, some people never identify, all right, what they're involved in when they're young, and they just continue. But you seem to figure it out. You were surrounded by mentors, and we'll talk about it, but you've become very successful, which is, I think is great. I really do. Your relatives are still in Ghana, and you're saying they're homeless and struggling? Is that right?
Some family members, none of them which are immediate family members, but extended family. There were some that I've seen.
Do you send them, I'm just curious, do you send them any money to help them, or what happens? I mean, they're homeless, struggling. How do they get help? How do people in Ghana is it a lot of people are homeless and struggling? Does that seem to be the situation for most people there?
Yeah, so that was the case 8 years ago. That was the case back in 2000 and I believe 2008. So that was 11 years ago. But now Ghana has become a much more, prominent place to be. So it's not a ton of struggle right now. A lot of people there are pretty wealthy. But you do still see some people, for example, selling clothes on the street. And yeah, when you're struggling, you basically have to figure out a way to, survive.
Right. Exactly.
Selling goods, products, things of that nature.
And then you went to high school and you were inducted to the National Honor Society. Very impressive. You went to the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana, and we used to do, actually we ran the review course there about 3 or 4 times, and they were number 3 at the time based on U.S. News and World Report in the top accounting programs. Mm. And in fact, the AICPA examination division, when they release the grades, the percentage of the people who pass, they separate University of Illinois from other schools, interestingly enough. Wow. So it must be a special school to go to.
Oh, yeah.
What did you get an undergraduate degree in accounting?
Yes, sir. That was my undergraduate degree.
Why did you go for a master's degree in accounting?
It was to get the CPA license. At the time, you needed to have either a master's degree or a certain amount of accounting hours, or the 150-hour credit requirement. So, to be honest, the only reason why I went to the master's or grad school was to get the CPA, and it was fully funded by the school, thankfully, due to a scholarship.
Oh, very good. You're a bright guy.
Yes, sir.
I think that's true. May I ask how old you are?
Just turned 27 on Wednesday.
Oh, well,
Wednesday,
happy
August
birthday.
14th.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You've done all of this and you're only 27. That's amazing. When did you take the exam? You're 27 years old. When did you take the exam?
I took it in 2015 and passed it in 2015. So from this January, I studied from January 2015 through May 2015. So it took about
in like 4 months.
It was just around that time. Correct. Yep.
Did you study more than one part at a time? How did you tell me how you spaced that out?
To be honest,
what do you think first?
Yeah, so time management in life is always important for me. Without time management skills, I wouldn't be successful today. So I laid out a game plan starting in like September of 2014.
Okay.
I had my entire CPA prep or CPA plan laid out. I would study 10 hours a day or 8 to 10 hours a day. I would not study on Sundays because Sunday is my day off.
Right.
I had a set amount of hours for each part. So I did not study for 2 exams at the same time. I'm a firm believer in narrowing your focus on one thing at a time. So time management really helped me out a ton. And then also, I only had one class that semester. So that was my second semester grad year. I had one class. It was an online class that wasn't required to go to. Just a few assignments here and there. So yeah, it was about setting a plan first and foremost. Just like my business, I set a plan before I actually went ahead and launched it.
What was the first part you took on the exam?
I took FAR.
And how long did you study for that?
2 months.
2 months. Okay,
Yes,
well, that's about right.
Yeah.
And then what did you take second?
I took Reg as the second part.
Okay. How long did you study for Reg?
Reg was a month and a half.
Huh. Very good.
Yeah.
And then you took what? The auditing? Did you auditing?
Yeah, I took audit. So I was an auditor at Pricewaterhouse or PwC.
So that helped.
Yeah, that helped. I actually got a perfect score on audit, 99 on audit.
Well, that's not perfect. You passed, but you could have gotten a point. No, they only give 99s, right? Did you win that Sells Award, for the top grades in the nation?
No, not me. No.
But you got a 99 in auditing. All right? Wow. Congratulations. That's terrific.
Yeah.
And of course, the last one was the BEC. All right.
Yeah, BEC was tough. That was a nightmare, to be honest.
How long did you study for that? How long did you study for that?
Just about half a month. Just about 20 days or so, I believe.
20 days?
Yeah.
How could you study for just 20 days? Did you know all that information in advance?
Yeah. So one thing about the CPA exam, in my opinion, the material builds off, or some material overlaps. So, for example, Reg, a lot of the Reg stuff is in BEC. So ultimately some of the overlapping material.
What Reg stuff is in BEC?
Yeah, so like corporate governance, for example, at least at the time when I was taking it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There was some in regulation. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's pretty good. I mean, but you were really studying. I mean, you were studying full time. You didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, this was not, I didn't have a job. I didn't have, I got rid of my job at the time. I was working at the library. I was like, I couldn't handle it. 10 hours a day. First one to be in the library, last one to leave. And, practice as many questions as humanly possible. And just went at it exam day and just gave it my best.
Now, let me just mention, Jeff, you did a lot of questions, a lot of multiple choice questions. But as I've said before, all right, the exam has changed now. It's critical thinking. You didn't have the blueprints back then, did you?
I mean, we had somewhat of, it wasn't that full-blown
document. Did the
document.
AICPA come out with blueprints?
Yeah, we didn't have that full-blown document.
Right. So just for people listening to this, okay, nothing wrong with doing questions. Back then, that was the emphasis. Do questions. But today, you have to understand the material now. You have to understand versus just do a lot of multiple choice. But back when Jeff took it, that was the case. It was based on doing a lot of multiple choice. And that was the way to study, all right? Yeah. But please, if you're taking it now, that's not the way to study. They've changed it, all right? But that's another story. All right. You came out of school, worked for, did you say PwC?
Yes, sir. PwC.
What did you do at PwC? The audit staff?
Yeah, I was an auditor for private companies.
Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy doing auditing?
No, I did not enjoy doing audit.
What was it? Too tedious?
I mean, I just felt like I was up in people's businesses a little too much. I didn't feel like being the guy that was hated in the room. I wanted to be the guy.
You were hated in the room.
Yeah, nobody, quote unquote, nobody likes the auditor.
Right. In fact, the first thing they do when you come in, the client, did they ask you, when are you leaving?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, it's not you're not really, well, you come in there and, well, this is true with anybody, any auditor, you're upsetting their whole system there and they have to spend time with you. Yeah, but don't take it personally, all right? I never took it personally. Of course, at night I would go home and cry, but I never took it personally when they said, when are you leaving? Okay?
Yeah.
But I didn't like auditing either. I found it to be boring, and I like
it was pretty tedious stuff.
I mean, you don't really get to meet with people a lot. You don't get to talk to people.
I mean, for mine, I was in a different scenario. I work with about 10 plus private companies in just 1 year, so your typical auditor in 1 year might only work with one client, for example, and might only touch cash and accounts receivable. I was exposed to so much that I was touching cash, accounts receivable, accounts payable, some tax stuff. I mean, I got a lot of experience over there, more than your typical person would.
But as an entry-level accountant in the big CPA firms, Big Four, all right, aren't you doing a lot of grunt work initially? The work that
time, tie outs, confirmations, things of that nature. Fancy accounting terminology, but yeah, it was just the nitty gritty stuff that you pass to, VA or something.
And did they give you, when you were hired by PwC, did they give you a choice of what you wanted to do, like auditing or consulting? Did you have a choice, or was it just auditing at the time?
Yeah, I had a choice. I definitely had a choice, and I felt audit would give me the best overall well-rounded experience in business, because I'm a businessman first and foremost before an accountant. So I just felt that I would get the best overall. And then when I got a chance to work with private companies, I really, really got a chance to work and see what a business is really all about.
That's true. Even though the auditing is very tedious and boring, you do get the big picture about different companies when you do work there.
Yeah, I mean, we have to do a lot of research on the company. What are the competitive advantages, SWOT analysis and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I was really in, they basically almost made me a senior associate my first year, because, we were always short-staffed.
That is really impressive.
Yeah.
You must be I can see you're ambitious, you're focused, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And it's nice to see that. You don't see that often enough. But God, congratulations with that. Now, when you left PwC, did you start your own practice immediately?
Yeah, so a little bit about the practice. So I interned at PwC from 2011 through 2014. And then from 2015 to 2016, I essentially was working full time. So while I was back in college, when I started in 2010, that's when I started building my business plan, which is now Badu Tax Services. I was doing taxes on the side. I was volunteering. I was, doing stuff for friends, family. And I was able to accumulate 100 clients during that time from 2010 to 2016. So on September 16th of 2016, I decided to call it quits and turn in my 2-week notice. And that's when I decided to launch my company.
And how old were you at that point?
To be honest, if I could take, sometimes you forget your age when you do certain things. I believe I was 24 at the time.
Amazing. Someone, I don't know too many 24-year-old people who major in accounting come out, work for someone, and then they've always looked ahead and said, I want to have my own practice. Okay. And here it is. You set up a practice when you're 24 years old. That's amazing. All right. Gee, I wish I knew someone like you then. That's great. You did tax returns. Is that what it was? By the way, did you feel you took taxes in college, correct?
Yeah, I took one tax class in college.
Which was mainly what, individuals or everything?
Yeah, it was, to be honest, I don't think we touched corporate. I believe we might have a little bit, but yeah, it was individual. It was 90% individual.
Was the person who taught you taxes, were they a CPA or just a PhD CPA?
They were a PhD.
They didn't have the CPA, right?
Yeah.
Is it possible they didn't have the accounting courses to qualify to sit for the CPA exam?
Could be possible.
Because that is a major problem in the university system. Like the very big schools like yourself, University of Illinois, they got people teaching accounting who have PhDs in accounting, but they can't take the CPA exam. All right. I don't know if you're aware how you get a PhD in accounting. All right. What you do is you just write a dissertation on something in accounting and you have a PhD in accounting. Mm. And a lot of these people can't even qualify to sit for the exam. They just don't have the courses. So here it is. Now, the person who taught you taxation, Did they have a background in taxes?
Yeah, they used to work in public practice. Well, not public practice, but I believe in some sort of tax capacity.
Did you feel that what you learned in the tax course was a big help in doing tax returns when you came out, or when you started doing tax returns, that's when you really started learning it?
I mean, yeah, it definitely helped. It gave me good background and good, foundational knowledge about taxes, education credits and things of that nature. But yeah, when I started actually touching tax returns, that's when I really learned about tax.
These 100 clients that you actually got, they are from you working part-time before you started the full-time practice?
Correct. Yeah, that's just doing taxes on the side.
And what type of tax returns did you do for these people?
So the first 5 years, it was strictly individuals. So just, 10 basic 1040s, maybe earned income credits here and there, child tax credit. But then when I got into my sixth year, so 2015 through 2016, I started doing more Schedule Cs. I even did an 1120S S Corp return. But yeah, it was 99% individual, more on the basic side, but I did touch some Schedule Cs as well.
When you did your first corporate return, 1120 or 1120S, how did you how did you learn or know how to prepare that return? Did you basically teach yourself again?
Yeah, it was self-taught. I had to use basically the accounting software or the tax software I was using gave me a lot of practice returns and tutorials, so using those practice returns, that's how I really learned taxes, to be honest. Off of tutorials, I practiced a ton. Before I touched a corporate tax return, I probably did 5, at least. So I already knew what went into it. It was just a matter of gathering the data and maybe a few extra things that the sample return couldn't really do.
Did you interview your clients? How did you do that? Did you meet with the client first, or did you just have them fill out an organizer? How did you do your tax returns?
Yeah. So back in the day, I basically just said, hey, just send me. So most of the stuff was done electronically or digital. That's one thing that I wanted to change about the tax prep industry, or, revolutionize a little bit. So most of the clients, we just, I would create like a list of things, send it to them, and then they would have to send it back via email or, a portal. So yeah, it was just a matter of, hey, a client texts me or calls me, I need my taxes done. How can we do this? And I would say, hey, here's a list of things to give to me. Once you give them to me, I'll put it in my software and I'll let you know if I need anything else. So it was very, it was more informal. Now we have a more structured process. So, but yeah.
So you did not have any contact either on the phone with them or in person. Is that correct?
Yeah. Some I had to do it in person. Some I certainly did.
But the majority of the returns are just send me the facts and I'll prepare it. Is that the way it works?
Exactly. Yep.
What do you think of that process?
I love it. That's the same process we have today. A client calls us or contacts us on Yelp, and they usually schedule a quick, 15 to 30-minute consultation. We go through, expectations. Hey, here's a timeline. Here's what to expect. Here's the pricing. Do you agree? Once they agree, we set up a portal for the client. We send them a checklist of documents through the portal. They upload all their documents to the portal. The return gets prepared within 48 hours or so. We have virtual tax prep folks that prepare the returns. And then I come in as a reviewer to review the returns, or I have other reviewers. And then the results get sent to the client through the portal. So we still have the same process.
Who's the primary contact with these people, you or the other people who get involved with the return?
Yeah, so I'm the one that has direct contact, but so I have 10 independent contractors who have their own, 11 now, who have their own clients. So some of those folks are reviewers. And if they decide, if I can't handle, if I'm just swamped, let's say it's April, I don't accept any new returns in April. Everything that comes in April has to go through one of them or an extension. So if we're in April, then they handle the relationship. So I say, hey, I make the intro. here's tax preparer A, here's client A, here's a connection. You guys take it from there.
Do you use those existing clients? Do you try to market them to get you? In other words, do you ask them, do you know anybody else that possibly I could be referred to? Do you ever do that?
Always. Word of mouth.
How do you handle that? Tell me how you handle that. If you're not having a lot of contact with them, how do you handle that as far as networking with your own clients?
Yeah, so at the beginning of every tax season, we send out an email saying, hey, looking forward to tax season. These are some of the deadlines internally or with the IRS. And at the end, we say, hey, if you know anybody that would benefit from our services, please feel free to let them know. And attached is a brochure for the firm. Real simple,
When you finish the return, you don't send a letter out and say, well, thank you once again for being our client for this year. And I'd like to give you, a call after tax season to see if, one, is there anything we could do differently? And two, all right, please, if you know people who are not happy with their tax preparer, all right, please find out, give us a list of names and let them know that we're going to call them. Would you do that?
So we now started in 2019. We're sending out tax planning questionnaires and surveys to the client. So we still don't call them if that's what you're looking for, but we do send them a questionnaire.
Calling would be cost effective, giving them a call and, just telling them, hey, you're happy. If you're happy, I assume you're happy with what I did. Okay.
Yep.
And, we do the best job in the area. And obviously there are other people, they probably tell you they're not happy with their tax preparer. All right. Their CPA. And, could I get a list of names and phone numbers that, I could call them and mention your name? You don't do that.
Yeah, I think it would be nice, but so I'll give you some numbers a little bit. We have about over 1,500 clients now.
Okay.
So, and I have an assistant, a virtual assistant who manages the process as far as like making sure everything is intact. So instead of calling them, what we do is we send them a follow-up email and we say, hey, thank you for working with us during tax season. With the shift in the tax law, we're becoming more proactive. So here's a survey that you can fill out if you need anything additional. So that's how we come up with these other services or we outsource them. We always engage. And then once they fill out the survey, you say, hey, schedule a 30-minute call or a 30-minute consultation. And we can, let's take this relationship a little further. So yeah, we have
them to call you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. Do you realize that most of the time they won't call you?
That is correct.
When are you done with this tax season? I mean, is it 12 months out of the year?
Yeah, we're never done. Well, yeah,
You're never done?
No.
No, I meant, do you have time during the year? You don't prepare them personally, everything, do you?
No, we have remote tax preparers.
You're the point man. You're the person that you want them to get to know because it's your practice, right?
Exactly.
So, no, I would I'm not telling you how to run your practice, but, if you have enough clients and, what you're doing is working, fine. But, if you want to, hey, you get more clients, you can always get more people to help you work. But I really still believe in the sort of soft, what would I call it? Soft way of selling where you actually ask them and you call them. Because I know we have an internet, everything is internet now, but I find that people still like it when when you talk to them on the phone. They just feel like they get to know you. But anyway,
Yeah.
All right. But hey, you sound like you're doing well. What do you do with real estate investments?
Yeah, so we buy multifamily properties on the south side of Chicago primarily, and we basically rent them out to tenants at a fair market rate. So yeah, we basically identify undervalued properties, and we either go in there and buy them clean, we buy them fully rehab, or we might buy them ugly and clean them up, and rehab them. And then we basically turn around and rent it out to tenants. And we plan to continue expanding that for a long time.
When you say we, you have partners who do this, or it's not just you?
Yeah, I have real estate partners for sure. And my real estate agent and contractors, people like that.
And you're 27 years old?
Yes.
How many pieces of property have you done this with?
Yeah, it's about 10. It's about 10 in the portfolio.
You didn't go to one of those seminars, how to buy property and sell it, and flip it quickly?
Yes, that's how I got started in real estate, was wholesaling real estate. And I learned through those seminars.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So you bought properties that were, they're in, what type of areas are they in?
Strictly south side. So, for example, I'll give you South Shore. That's deep south side of Chicago, around the 70th, 70 to 80th. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking like they're up and coming areas. So we like to buy in up and coming, slowly developing areas. So, yeah.
So those are not low income areas, or
these are historically low income areas.
Okay, and you buy it at a good price?
Yeah, we buy it at a great price.
Who's the expert on this? And are you the expert?
Yeah, I'm the guy. I'm the numbers guy.
You're the numbers guy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
All right. But who knows if it's a good deal or not?
So I usually could tell. I have a formula that I go by, and then also I have my contractor go in and take a look. So he basically confirms the rehab, which is a big number. The rehab estimate is a big time number. So he goes in there, or my team goes in there, and they look at it, calculate the rehab, give me the estimate. So it's mainly myself, but I would definitely give credit to the contractor and also the real estate agent who finds comparables to see how much the property is actually worth, which is also a very important number, the after repair value.
People might ask, how much do you have to put down to buy these houses?
It depends on the deal. Typically, it's about 10 to 20%.
And then to do all the repairs to it, you finance that, or do you have a pool of cash investors? Yeah,
so I do have a group of investors who I can tap into the resources, or I also have sometimes the loans are bridged in together with the rehab.
Oh, okay. And do you flip them or do you rent them?
Strictly renting. We used to flip a few, but now we don't like flipping because it's very risky. Sometimes it's hard to find a buyer. We just didn't want to deal with all the risk factors. A tenant quick to find in Chicago right now.
And you have rental income coming in. And
absolutely.
I assume it's profitable.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Where do you market? I mean, with your practice, how do you get more business?
Yeah, there's 3 ways. Word of mouth, which includes giving out presentations across the country. So I give a lot of, about taxes, about entrepreneurship, business, credit, budgeting, saving. So I give a lot of financial. I do about 100 a year, so that always attracts people. And so about 60% of my new business, word of mouth, client referring other clients. Also, 30% comes through Yelp. So I'm big time on Yelp, one of the top rated accounts.
Tell us how Yelp works.
Yeah.
Do you use LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn, we're starting to do a lot more on LinkedIn. So 10% of new business currently comes from LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn Pro Finder. And then we're also about to use LinkedIn, LinkedIn Professional, where it basically sends out messages and all that good stuff.
A lot of people I speak to on these podcasts, they use LinkedIn to actually promote their business.
Wow.
And they really do well with it. LinkedIn is becoming more, because you're dealing with professionals.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you, you do 100 seminars. And this is all over the country?
Correct. I mean, most of it, 90% of it is in Chicago, but yeah, it is. Some are cross country.
And you're invited to speak?
Yes, I get invited to a lot of these events.
Jeff, I have to say, I am really, not that whether I'm impressed about you, with you, I'm not using anything, whether I'm impressed about you as a person, it's not really that important. Your life will go on. But no, I have to honestly say, you are unbelievable at the age of 27, all right? I can't imagine what's ahead for you. What are your plans? What's ahead for you? What do you want to accomplish?
Yeah, so in the next 10 years, I plan to have the number one tax firm in the world, based off global impact and revenue.
What is there after that?
So I'm starting the Badu Foundation.
I'm sorry, what are you starting? What was that?
The Financial Literacy Foundation, Badu Foundation. That's another big project that I'm working on. So I plan to keep pushing that. It's going to launch next year. So I plan for that to be the most impactful financial literacy organization on the planet within 10 years.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And is there anything else? Let me see. That will take you up to age 29. So what's going to happen after age 29? What else is there? And Jeff, I would say you are the youngest entrepreneur who is so focused and so successful at a young age. I think that's great. I think at age 27, I was still playing hopscotch on the streets. But, here it is. You have a big business. Amazing. So anyway, Jeff, I want to thank you. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything you want to say? You want to do a little promo for yourself? Anything?
Yeah. I always believe in, promoting, but definitely thank you for having me. And if anyone wants to find out more information about myself, easiest way is I have a personal website, jeffbadu.com, jeffbadu.com. That's where you can find out all my resources I have out there, my videos, my teachings, my companies, all that good stuff. You can even contact me directly on there. Also, my business contact, 773-679-7198. And then you can always email me at jeffbadu@gmail.com. And I'm also all over the social media platforms. So just search my name and you'll find me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, all the good stuff.
Okay, well, that's great. Jeff, thank you for being on. I enjoyed talking to you. It's fascinating what you've done, what you're doing. And by the way, I wish you the best of luck with your practice. All right, and we'll have that information on our site about you. All right, Jeff, I thank you once again. I really, really did enjoy speaking with you. And should I ever get to Chicago, I will definitely give you a call. And I thank everyone out there who has actually made this podcast the number one podcast for accounting. And thank you so much. And we will continue to bring people who are interesting, who are personable, even though they're CPAs. They're interesting and personable. And they'll share their experiences with you, and maybe that will help you if you're not sure what you want to do. So anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. And I will turn it over to Rob Medford, the best producer, executive producer, and the best director that I know. And I really don't know any other. So Rob, you do a great job, Rob. You know that, don't you?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't be modest. All right. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend, Jeff. And we'll hopefully see you soon.
Sounds
Go
good.
ahead, Rob. Take it over, please.
Once again, I'd like to thank you for being the best part of CPA Review and More with your host, Phil Yeager. If you have any questions or topics you'd like to hear on the show, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show to share your story, we want to hear from you. Send me an email to the studio at podcast@YeagerCPAReview.com. If you're enjoying the content that we're providing, we'd greatly appreciate it if you'd submit a review to the Apple iTunes podcast app to let us know how we're doing. If you're in the market for a CPA review course, or simply want to find out more about the CPA exam and what Yeager has to offer, check out YeagerCPAReview.com or call our office and we'll answer any questions you may have. The link and the phone number will be in the description of this podcast. Here at Team Jaeger, we are excited to tell you about our new Jaeger CPA Review subscription format. It's the same great Jaeger CPA Review course that you know and love on an all-new month-to-month, no-commitment subscription format. Check it out today. Once again, my name's Rob Medford. I'm your executive producer and director here at the Jaeger Studios. And until next time, take care and be audit you can be.